how to back all those up and be able to restore them if you ever have to redo your iPhone or take it into the Apple store and you don't want all your stuff on there and you want to back everything off and clear it off and put it back to factory standards, take it in, come back, and have all your stuff back on there just like when you left it. Why should you jailbreak your iPhone? Well, there's many reasons. We're going to cover all these topics. This is like the table of contents of what we're going to talk about. How do you jailbreak your iPhone? How to back up all your app store, the official apps, and all their settings, and all the jailbreaks apps that you install, and all those settings. How to restore all your app store apps and jailbreak apps and all their settings when you want to put it back on. How to harden your iPhone. How to install all the tools you want for pen testing, hacking, whatever, onto your iPhone. How to compile programs for the iPhone if you want to compile them from source. How to set up your iPhone as an attack environment. Then we're going to take questions and thanks, and we're going to show you some links and references for more information if you want to continue this on your own. So why jailbreak your iPhone? Well, the most thing for me, for most people, is to be able to record movies like a camcorder, because Apple won't let you record movies, but the hardware is able to do it. So if you jailbreak your iPhone, there's several different options to record audio and video. It saves it as a movie file on your iPhone. You can get it back, transfer it over to your laptop, and you have a QuickTime file, or use it any way you want. Another big thing is to use your iPhone's internet connection for your laptop if you want to get on. Apple won't let you do it. AT&T won't let you do it. But if you jailbreak it, you can do it for free, and it works very good. Go ahead, question? It works on all iPhones. Yeah, all this stuff we're talking about. I have 3G in here, but if you only have the first iPhone and it's got the Edge connection, you can use it. It won't be as fast, but it still works. If you want to customize the look of your iPhone to make it look all nice and swirly and monkey boy, switch it over and show him. He told me to call him monkey boy. I think it's on composite. If you switch it to composite, you can see.
Do you think once this gets out and Apple knows it hits these, that the next model is have provisions in to stop this kind of?
It probably will. There's always a cat and mouse, but it's never long after Apple has a new version of the firmware
that the dev team has the next crack. I mean, it's just
2 weeks. And you're back up and running. And that's another reason why it's good. Why we want to talk about how to back up all your settings, because like if a new firmware version comes out, and this has happened to me before, it's like I get all my stuff set up, all my jailbreak stuff set up on it just right, and then I'm like, okay, well I know if I upgrade to the new firmware, it's going to kill all that stuff. But so I wait till they come out with a new jailbreak for the new firmware, and I jailbreak it, and I upgraded the firmware, or I upgrade the firmware first, and then I jailbreak it. And then that's like I got to manually go back and install, and I was like, I don't want to have to do this anymore.
right.
So in the last version of firmware came out, I was able to implement all my methods, and I backed up all my stuff, and I upgraded the new firmware, which killed all my jailbreak. And then I was able to restore all my stuff back on without having to manually install everything. So, and all my settings were there. So that's the nemesis for this whole.
Iron Geek.
I'm pretty sure you get to this shortly, but my iPhone is GSM only phone. Why do you think it's written in the top left-hand corner?
I can make it say whatever I want
Okay,
to.
so that's not actually indicative of anything real.
Just seeing if you're paying attention.
Okay.
I'll demonstrate. So when you jailbreak it, you can make it say whatever you want to. And if you can type a whole sentence up there, and it'll just scroll by the whole time. Like, my iPhone is hacked, and I hate AT&T, and blah, blah, and it'll just scroll that whole text back and forth the whole time.
We'll just go with that for now.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay.
With Quick, I don't know if you've heard of Quick before, QIK, but they have software for a lot of other phones out there. If you jailbreak your iPhone, you can install Quick, and I can show you that later. It allows you to use your camera and record well, not record, but it takes the audio and video signal from your iPhone and streams it live over the internet. So you can go to a web page, you You can make your own account for free, and when people visit there, if you have a live stream going right then, they can see it. It's a 15-second delay, that's all. And any visitor to the website, there's a little chat window. They can type in stuff, and as I'm recording, it shows up on my screen of what they're chatting. Like, hey, turn around, you missed that girl back there. I want to see her. So you can see that chat, turn around, and it's all live, and that's all free.
Well, 15-second lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15-second live.
Iron Geek, can
It's
you switch it
live.
back?
It's streaming live with a 15-second delay.
You said that's a jailbreak only app, or is it a?
All these are jailbreak-only apps. Yeah. You can use your phone as a pen testing tool. I mean, it's got Wi-Fi. You go into somebody's company, and you get on their wireless network. That's all you need. And we're going to cover how you can set up all your whole environment so you can scan their whole network and you can have your iPhone in your pocket.
While you're doing your interview.
While you're doing an interview, yeah. And there's plenty more. I mean, there's plenty more reasons.
And Iron Geek was talking earlier about possibly picking up the iTouch instead of the iPhone for whatever his reasons are, and these things should still work on the iTouch as well. How many people in here are currently using their iPhone as an offensive security tool? You should.
Yeah. Force quit Microsoft PowerPoint. So first, now we're going to talk about how to jailbreak your iPhone. Before you do anything, if you haven't jailbroken your iPhone, and all you have on there is everything that's all approved from Apple, all your movies that you ripped off your DVDs and put on your iPhone, all that stuff you can do without jailbreaking it. If you just hook it up to iTunes and you have iTunes set, whether on Windows or Mac, to back up all your stuff, it will back up and restore all your stuff anytime you want. So obviously before you jailbreak, you want to hook it up to iTunes and make it back up everything. That way, when you jailbreak it, there's two different methods to jailbreak, and we'll talk about that. But one method is it restores the whole firmware, which is basically formats your iPhone, so there's nothing on there that was on there before. And once you do that, then you can hook it back up to iTunes, and it will add in all your stuff. And the second method is the quick pwn. And the quick pwn takes your firmware and modifies a custom upgrade packet that just unlocks it and applies it to your iPhone, so you don't have to format the whole iPhone. But it's never a bad idea to back up all your stuff anyway. That way you won't lose anything. All your contacts and your history of calls and all that stuff. There's a link to download. Quick pwn is what I recommend from the iPhone dev team. That's the best method to me because it doesn't take as long to format the whole iPhone. You can just keep everything on there that you have. Then I have two different links here to guides if you're running Windows or if you're running Mac. I'm not going to walk through the jailbreak because jailbreak is pretty documented on the internet. You can just do a Google search, how do I jailbreak? And from their tools, it almost walks you through it. It's almost
very easy.
Yeah, it's too easy. There used to be an old method I know everybody's probably heard of, like people jailbreaking their iPhones, and Apple came out with the update and it like bricked their phone. Well, the iPhone dev team decided that they're not going anywhere near that anymore, and all their methods don't come anywhere near to bricking your iPhone. They stay away from all that. They don't try to modify the baseband modem of the cell chip anymore, the firmware for it. They just, jailbreaking is totally different from unlocking your iPhone and making it work on a different carrier. Jailbreaking is just making it so that you can run unsigned applications without having to have them signed.
With QuickPwn, you can pick it up off of BitTorrent and various other places, but I highly recommend getting it off the dev team and checking your SHA sum.
So those are the links for those. We have links to everything at the end. Also, this whole presentation is going to be up on the website. That's at the link at the bottom. It'll be bigger at the end. You can always come up and ask us, get our email address, and we'll give it to you later. After you jailbreak your iPhone, there's the first things you want to do to secure it. since you're kind of letting your iPhone be wide open, you want to make sure to the method to install all these jailbroken applications once you jailbreak it is a program called Cydia. So you want to use Cydia to install a couple other tools, the mobile terminal and the BOSS tools, or the BOSS prefs. You can use the mobile terminal to go to the command prompt and change your passwords. There's two different accounts in the iPhone. There's the mobile user, and that's what everything runs under when you're using the iPhone, and then there's the root user, and you want to change both of those passwords. And I have the commands there to do that. So you have to make sure you do that just to make sure it's secure. I use BOSS prefs. That's a must-have too, because it allows you to be able to turn on and turn off, or enable or disable SSH access to your iPhone. So if you run around with your iPhone on Wi-Fi network and you have SSH enabled, yeah, you may have changed your passwords for your accounts, but still, it's just another vector. And why have it on if you're not using it? Now we're going to talk about backing up all your App Store and jailbreak apps and all their settings. Normally, all the App Store apps and all their settings, they all get backed up when you just do a normal iTunes, but iTunes doesn't know anything about the jailbreak apps or any of those settings. So I came up with a method based on getting people, most of the stuff we're talking here today, it's nothing that we've invented. We've just gathered stuff on the internet. We're just like, get really excited about the iPhone, and we kind of have compiled all this stuff in together, but we didn't do most of it, except for the scripts that he's written, the custom scripts for like pen testing. All this stuff is freely available. We just wanted to put it all together because there's no guides on the internet to tell you all this, especially the backup and the restore of all your apps and all your settings. So what you'll need on your computer to do all this is an SSH client, whether a Mac or Windows, and you'll need an SFTP or SCP client. I prefer SFTP. I'm Mac oriented and I like to drag and drop stuff to, So you need those, and then on your iPhone, you need to use Cydia to install these following apps, and they're all free. The OpenSSH, the BOSS prefs, so you can enable and disable your SSH. You want to install a program called apt backup and another program called app backup. Apt backup backs up all the record of what's installed, all your jailbreak apps. It doesn't back up the settings, but it backs up the list of all the programs that are installed. So when you want to put everything back on there, you can have it easily install those back. The app backup actually backs up all your settings for all your legit like Apple or iPhone apps. Sometimes iTunes doesn't back up all your settings for all your legitimate apps even. It just backs up the app. But this program will back up all the settings. So you want to have both of those. So the first thing you do to back up everything is you want to connect your iPhone and your computer to the same network. Obviously the iPhone is Wi-Fi, so if you want to do it Wi-Fi, or if you have a desktop, you want to connect it to the same network that a Wi-Fi access point's on, that both of them at the top. You want to make sure that they can see each other. And then you want to make sure to use BOSS prefs to enable SSH and use it to get the iPhone's IP address. If I can have Monkey Boy switch over here, I'll show you. BOSS prefs here. You launch it, and there's many tools that it has in it, but one of them is, you can see, you can enable and disable SSH with this thing. So you can see I have it on, and it's easy enough to disable. You just click it and it turns it off. And then also, if you're on Wi-Fi, it shows you your IP address there, and you can get in other ways that are in the iPhone settings, but this is all in one menu. So you can use this to make sure you can get the IP address of your iPhone and make sure your SSH is on, and then you want to have Monkey Boy switch it back over, and we'll show you otherwise, AKA Iron Geek. Run this command on your computer down here. This is the command that will make a backup and output of all the programs that are jailbroken installed on your iPhone. So if I want to show you, I go to the terminal here, and I log into my iPhone.
It's turned up some
I did. Oh, I have to turn it back on. I sure did.
See, it works.
Somebody's paying attention.
Yeah. Okay, it's on.
Try it again. So you run this command. I'm going to paste it in there. And the iPhone's actually using the Debian package manager, the app package manager. So all the commands that work in Debian work in here. And this gives me an output of, it lists all the packages that are installed via the jailbreak apps you've installed. So I'm not too familiar with the SSH tools in Windows, but on the Mac, you can just copy all this. And I can go make a new document and paste them in there. And I have everything, a record of everything that's installed. And this is in the settings, but this is all the packages that are installed. And we'll use this later to do another command and have it just install all of them all at once, so you're right back to where you were. The only thing you have to do is edit I'm calling this file when I save it like app list. You can call it whatever you want to, but you want to edit it to erase everything from the beginning, including the word name, and then also take out, there's one word in there called firmware. If you take all those out and say the rest of it should only be just the list of apps you have installed. So if I do, for Lee's sake, make this real big, and I erase everything up into name, and I also take out firmware, then I can do save as, I can call this so that right there backs up all my settings, all my programs that I just installed, that I've ever installed through the jailbreak. Now you want to SFTP into your iPhone, and you want to back up to actually copy the programs. And on the iPhone, all these programs store all their preferences inside each program is named the program name .app.app. It's actually a folder, but the iPhone treats it as a program. But inside that folder is all the settings for that program. So you want to make sure that you navigate to that private etc app directory and copy all the programs that you know that you've backed up. So I'm going to use my FTP program. I'm going to connect to my iPhone. I see all the list of everything. I'm going to go to private, var, stash, and then applications. And every time you reload your iPhone with new firmware and stuff, it might be the wireless mic here, it's called applications dot, and it's always a random string at the end of that, so it's never the same, but it's always just called applications. And in here is some legitimate free apps from the App Store and all my hacked apps. So I go through and pick the ones, just the ones that I know that I've installed, if I know there's settings on it. Like I can pick this one and app backup and app backup, boss press, boss tools, and everything. And I can copy them over to my computer to back them all up. I'm not going to do it here because I got too many and it'll take too long. But that's how you copy them over. After you do that, you want to make sure if you use the program, the Cycorder, it's the program that records, it's free and it records video and audio as movies. It stores all those movies in private var stash applications, blah, 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 or private var mobile media videos. So you want to make sure you navigate to that and back up all those. Private var mobile. recorded one of the guy with the didgeridoo upstairs. So there's all your movies. Make sure it's best just to copy that whole videos directory. That way you've copied all your movies and backed them up. Also, if you use the NES Entertainment System emulator and you have a whole bunch of ROMs, which I do, like about 100, like Super Mario Brothers and Pitfall and all those, you want to make sure that you back all those up unless you already have them somewhere. So those are stored in private var mobile media, and there's a folder called ROMs. And as long as you back up that, you won't miss any of there's your ROMs folder and NES, and there's all the ones I have installed. I said 100 out of line probably. Airwolf, Three Stooges, 1942, Captain America, Batman, Dig Dug, Die Hard, all that stuff. Star Wars. No Tetris, not for me. So then after you back up all those, and if you have other custom apps that you've installed that store media on the iPhone, you want to make sure you find out what directory they store them in and back those up if it's something you want to keep. But those would be along the same lines as just SFTPN and find the directory and back it up. Then you want to run apt backup, and this is the program that basically does what my manual command does. It just gets a list of all the package manager, the app package manager packages that are installed, and backs up that list somewhere, and actually stores it in a place that iTunes will back up for you. And I do that just as a redundant thing. And then the app backup, that will back up all the settings for your legitimate App Store Apple apps, because sometimes they don't back them up. This will back up all those settings and store them in a place that when you back up to iTunes, it'll copy all those and back them up for you and restore them when you put it all back on. So after you run those two, you want to make sure now that it's put them in a place that the iTunes will back up. You have to hook it up to iTunes now and make sure iTunes backs up everything. I have a couple other programs I use for Mac. One's called iPhone Notes, and it will connect to the iPhone Live, and it will dump out all of the notes that you have saved on there. If you have a whole bunch of notes, and you can export them as a text file or a little database file that you can re-import later. And another program that I've used before, after you've backed up to iTunes, this program called Mobile Sync Browser will allow you to browse the backup files that iTunes saves, and you can browse them and see all your different versions you've backed up. Even if you have 15, you can pick each backup and browse through it and restore to like readable text documents and stuff, like your notes or your history of calls, or it reads, I think, SMS, text messages, history of calls, notes. I can't remember whatever else it backs up, but I've used that a lot of time before when I've restored my iPhone and gone, oh man, I forgot to back up all that stuff. Well, I can go to my last backup from iTunes and see what it has. Then after you've restored everything, or after you've backed up everything, you want to, like, in case Apple comes out with a new firmware and you want to back up everything, apply the new firmware, then after you've applied the firmware, you use iTunes to either reinstall the new firmware or upgrade to a new firmware or whatever. And then you want to make sure you close iTunes, and there's also a background program called iTunes Helper on Mac and in Windows that is always listening for when you plug in the iPod, and that's what launches iTunes to start doing the backup. That interferes when you're trying to do jailbreak stuff. So after you've restored it and you've upgraded to the new firmware and all your jailbreak stuff is off, you want to make sure that you quit iTunes and force quit that iTunes Helper that runs in the background. You can do the, what's it called in Windows, the Task Manager, and you can find iTunes Helper and kill it, or you can do in Mac the Activity Monitor, and you can kill it that way. Then go ahead and jailbreak your iPhone using the method we showed before. The iPhone dev team download their tool, jailbreak it after you got the new firmware on there. Hopefully that their Ponage tool or QuickPwn works with the new version of the firmware you just upgraded to, or else you can't do it. But so you jailbreak it, and then you're going to, after you jailbreak it, it will put Cydia, the program, on there. And once you get Cydia, you want to make sure you install these basic tools so you can start getting all your stuff and restoring all your programs and settings back on there. You want to make sure you get OpenSSH, Mobile Terminal, BossPress, App Backup, and App Backup. Then do your housekeeping, which I mentioned before, like using the terminal to change the password for the root user and the mobile user, using the BossPress to disable or enable SSH when you're not using it. Then do the same thing like we did before. You're going to connect your computer and your iPhone to the same network so you can start doing SSH and SFTP. Use BossPress to enable your SSH and get your iPhone's IP address. Then you connect via FTP, and you start copying over the stuff that we copied off of the iPhone before. Copy over all your jailbroke apps to the private ETC app directory, and you want to copy all your all the applications and that app directory in the first step there. That's the history of what the app package manager has for your preferences for what all apps they've installed. So you back up that, restore all your applications, all your movies if you want to have them back on there, all your ROMs for your NES entertainment system, so you have all those back. And then remember that text file, we saved the output of all those packages that are installed. You're going to make sure you open back up and copy those, and I'll show you that. Then you're going to SSH back into your iPhone and run this command, and where it says apt-get install, and I have paste there, but really you're just going to paste in that string of text that's the name of all the packages, and that will restore all your packages. And I can mimic that now. If I go back into my text file where I copy all that over here, and let's say I've already upgraded the firmware and re-jailbroken, and I don't have any packages on there, I can go back in here, get this command, paste that in, minus the paste, go here, select all, copy, paste this in, and then when I hit enter, it's telling me that it's already the newest version because they're already installed, because I already had them on it. But normally it would give you a progress of each one. It would install them all in one fell swoop, so you're already back. You don't have to sit there in the little interface and manually install each one and wait for it to go. It just saves a lot of time. Then I always use the BossPress. They have a custom script that makes sure it fixes all the permissions on your home directory. So all these apps that you've installed that are under the user's home directory, it makes sure it fixes all the permissions for all that stuff. So I always run that. And then I reboot my iPhone and let iTunes finish restoring all the legitimate movies and songs and all that stuff. And after it installs that, I let it reboot and sync everything. And then the last steps I do is I run apt backup, which is kind of a redundant thing because I manually told it to reinstall the packages that the app package manager had installed before. But this will do it automated too. And if it reinstalls a package, I mean, it doesn't matter. If it's already on there, you saw it won't reinstall it. So I do that. In the app backup, it will restore all the settings that it backed up from your actual legitimate iPhone apps. So even though iTunes doesn't restore all those sometimes, this will restore all those. And then you're done. You're right back up to where you were before you upgraded the firmware. So when I did this when the last firmware came out, before 2.1, I did all these methods and backed everything up, and I used iTunes to upgrade to the new firmware. Of course, all my stuff was gone. And I just went back through all these methods, and it restored all my programs with the one fell swoop, and then the two little programs, that apt backup and the app backup, I did those restores, and all my settings for all my legitimate apps. If it was a Facebook app and I had a login, all that was still there. If it was like that quick program, you have to have an online account, which is free, but you have to sign into it for it to start recording movies. All those settings are still there. It was like I got to upgrade my firmware like you should be able to do, but everything was right there where I wanted it.
The icons won't be in the exact same places, but I mean, that's a quick, easy fix for what all he's been able to restore.
Well, it's not that easy, but it's a pain to have to reorder all your icons, but that's the only thing it doesn't do. And I've been trying to find, if anybody knows how to do that, please let me know, because that's the bane of my existence. As I go through this and try it each time, I've done it a whole bunch of times. It's like, oh, I've got to rearrange my icons. I've got to have them in the same place. But one of the jailbreak apps is called Categories, I think, and it allows you to make folders on your home screen of your iPhone, and you can put different stuff in there. so you can have different categories and not have to have like 8
6
screens,
pages like you.
6 pages like I do, yeah. It's pulling it from, it has a sources list, and they're actually the sources that you have already set up in the Cydia program, and it comes pre-installed with the main sources. Cydia is run by a guy, Jay
Surik.
His nickname is Surik. I've got a link here at the end, but he maintains some that get installed with your iPhone, but you can add others. If you know somebody's out there that's writing a jailbreak app, and they said, here, just subscribe to this source, and then on the phone you can browse and install them. All those sources get backed up when you back up that apps folder. Well, they don't come, well, the Cydia program is kind of like a package manager with a GUI. So with a package manager, you can have it subscribe to different source lists. So if I subscribe to like Mod My Eye source list, if Joe Donut writes their own iPhone app, he might have it distributed by Mod My Eye. You know, they have their own package list that they maintain. So when you add that source to your Cydia program, it can browse all that list of those programs, and you see it in one big list. It pulls from all those sources. So hope that answers that. Then you're done. You've just backed up and restored your iPhone and jailbroken it. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Lerock here. He's going to talk about hardening your iPhone. Is this monkey boy time?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Any questions before we go ahead?
You guys going to talk about, the ramifications of support,
That's pretty
Technically, once you
self-explanatory.
jailbreak it, if Apple knows you've jailbroken it, your warranty's void.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a problem, you want to back up all your stuff and restore it to the factory defaults, and then take it to the Apple Store and go.
but it's your device, you can do what you want.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if they discover it, then they'll tell you, and unless they mark it on your account or something, they may not. If you just walk in and somebody sees it, they don't know who you are, they're not going to, your account's not going to get flagged or nothing. But if you do need to take it in for a legitimate concern, that's why if you go through these methods to back up everything and restore it, use iTunes to restore it to factory default, you can take it in there and have them do it. When you bring it back, do the restore, and you get everything back on it.
Any other questions before we continue?
Yeah.
Yes,
everything
I'm getting
still
ready.
runs.
Yeah.
No,
No problem.
I've changed it many times, and everything still works. Yeah,
Yes.
You can SSH into it, but if
Right.
you're on the phone and you've already jailbroken it and you have the mobile terminal app, you can just launch it and say pass WD, and it asks for the new password. You can make a new one. You got somebody else's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's running, the normal iPhone, you can unlock it. I mean, the screen, unless there's a passcode on the actual front screen, yeah, and you can change the password, yeah, or restore it in iTunes, and it'll be all wiped out back to factory connector.
Okay, so real quick on hardening the iPhone. This is just some of the common sense, really easy stuff here. You just go to Settings, General, pull on the Auto Lock. I'm sure everyone knows this. Enter a passcode, just to make sure that if you lay your phone down while you're at the bar and you're hitting on this chick, someone doesn't walk off your phone and, hey, they got your bank account numbers and stuff. Turn off unused services, as John was talking about earlier, with boss preferences. Say, for example, while I'm here, I'm not going to be walking around with my Bluetooth on or my Wi-Fi on if I'm just going to connect to the 3G network. Same way with default passwords. Whenever you install Cydia and the SSH, the default password is Alpine. So if, say, you're scanning here at the con for port 22, the first thing I'd be trying would be Alpine for everybody. It's like, oh, okay, well, someone jailbroke their iPhone, but they didn't change the default password. So, and that is for root and for mobile. So, installing tools. There's 3 different methods for installing the tools that you want. They are the App Store, Cydia, which John was talking about earlier, and via the command line. The App Store, a couple nice apps just to pull down free, are the Remote Desktop Lite and the VNC light. These work great, you know, if you're out to lunch. I was out with John the other day, and somebody called from the office. He was having problems with the server. Pulled up his remote desktop, went in, fixed the problem, went back to Taco Bell. Cydia. This is pretty much the main package manager for the iPhone. Written by Jay Surik, I believe.
Jay
I'm
Freak,
sorry.
His nickname's Sir.
Surik, yeah. Sorry about that. As John mentioned before, boss preferences, one of the big tools on there. A couple of things that I always like to do is Apple has a kill switch. For example, if some apps get released or other nefarious things, they can push a switch from Cupertino, send out a kill pill to these iPhones. Boss prefs will disable that ability. Again, like I was saying earlier, hardening the iPhone, you want to disable Bluetooth and SSH when not in use. Mobile terminal, going to need this for SSH into your phone. Open SSH. We talked about earlier changing the default password from Alpine. Both accounts again, the root and the mobile passwords. If you want to change the password for the root account, it's PSSWD, followed by PSSWD mobile for changing the mobile account. Some nice tools that you would like to download from this list right here. Obviously the good stuff, Metasploit, Nmap, Netcat, TCP dump, wget, whois. One thing about the Metasploit, once you install it and you run it from the command line, it will take about 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes to load. Don't freak out. Your iPhone's not crashing. Just be patient, let it go, and 3.2 will be up and running. The guy who updates the Metasploit, he's normally about 2 to 3 weeks behind what the current version is out. But it's still very, very useful. Yes?
If you happen to, change the root password and the password and all that, and then it becomes locked, and you get spaced out or something, you forget the password,
Restore to factory default.
Well, like I was saying before.
If somebody got your phone, really, and it's got restored,
well,
No, if they're restoring,
reformat your phone.
it reformats the phone. Yeah, that's why I say just the really simple stuff of, using the lock device on the phone. I mean, as lame as that sounds, it comes into play. Also, I think the default time is 3 minutes that it goes into lock. So just FYI. 4 other devices or 4 other apps here that you want to do, you cannot find through the Cydia main repository. You'll have to use the search feature to find these. As John was talking a little bit before about installing, say for example, somebody drops their iPhone into the toilet and the screen is whacked
And then you have an iPhone 3P.
instead of 3G. Anyway, so John's screen was broke the other day, but we were still preparing for this lecture, and he was like, well, fuck it, I still got to, get going here. So he SSH'd into his iPhone, even though the screen was bad, and started using apt-get to download, install various programs that we had been working on. When you start installing custom apps and scripts, you want to go over to the settings general auto lock. The default, like I said, was 3 minutes, where it's going to throw the phone into sleep. When you're installing, let's say Metasploit, it's going to take more than 3 minutes. You don't want it to go to sleep while it's installing Metasploit. So put that to never. An app that I like to use is Propecia, or Propecia, depending on where you live in the country, Adrian. It's an extremely fast Class C port scanner, way faster than Nmap, I believe. And you can download that off of Security Focus. I will have the link up later on this presentation. When you are compiling these programs, GCC is one of the apps that we had already pre-installed. GCC -0, -O the new name and the original name of the app. LDIB -s test, /test will run the app. With the path here, the env command will list your environmental variables, including the path. You want to move your app, which is what we just installed, let's say the Propicia. You want to move your app to one of the folders that are listed in the path. This would be the command to do that. Move Propicia to the user bin folder. And like I said, we got that from Mr. E from our environmental variables. Or another way you could do it is actually editing the file with the nano command. I'd recommend the first version. Automating the terminal preferences. I'm blind. John's got like 20/15 vision. So the first thing I do is up the font size. With the arguments, we're going to have to switch over to this here in a minute. Okay.
Not yet.
With the, a lot of people don't know the terminal actually has preferences, so you can. That's okay. So you can actually change the font sizes and different arguments so that actually when you launch the terminal application, it will go ahead and run commands for you, which will be useful later. I'll show you. Terminal menus. You lay your finger down on the iPhone. By default, there is probably 24 different commands that you can run. What I did was I deleted all mine and started writing my own. So the idea is you walk into someone's office, you're on an interview. So you walk in, I reach in my pocket, I put my finger on the phone to start the terminal and go over the gesture and just up to my upright, it automatically goes in and starts running my script, various commands, which is my Pwn script right there.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I mean, to see the terminal screen and it's a command prompt, you can put your finger on top of the terminal screen and wherever you flick your finger, you can have it preset to run your own custom stuff, so you don't have to like type on the little keyboard. And he's got all kind of these. He just goes boom, and it starts running all this,
Including, so for example, when you log in with terminal, you are logging in actually as the mobile user account. For some of this stuff, you're going to want to SU to root, which you can set that as a preference. So as soon as you hit the terminal command, you're already SU root. All I'm going to have to do is type in my password, throw my finger up to the upper right corner. It's issued that command right there, which you're not going to be wanting to finger fuck and trying to type in while you're in someone's office. You just want to throw your thumb up to the upper right-hand corner. It lays it out for you. Okay, Adrian? This is the BROS preferences that John was talking about earlier, enabling and disabling options really here very, very quickly. Again, SSH, if you're not using it, you want to turn that off. So for the terminal application right here, see if you guys get that. My first, go right in, let's see here. I'm going to SU. And put in my password. Okay, so for example, when I hover my screen over the figure, if you'll see, there are various, I got 4 different scripts. I have clear, I have kill, pwn, remove text. Pwn is actually going to cd to my root directory and start my script, which is called discover. Discover script will be on my website later for you guys to see. The RM text, my script's going to generate 3 different text files. If you are doing various different pen testings, you don't want to type in rm space star.txt. So I just made a shortcut to it like that. So it's going to remove all the text files that I had already generated. Okay. Kill all, that's for example, if I get stuck in an Nmap scan or something that's just taking forever, I want to kill out an Nmap and my terminal as a root. clear. It's just going to clear the screen and get ready. Here's the cool thing. Start my pwn script. What's our address here, John? 10 what?
10.0.
Okay.
Scan my iPhone. Dot 1. Dot whatever.
Okay. Let's do that again. Remove the text files I just created. Clear the screen. Start my script again. That's John 10 what?
10.0. Dot 1. Dot whatever. Dot text.
Okay, so basically what my script is doing right here is it's using Propecia to scan for various different ports on the network. I used Fedora's notes from DEF CON where he had done some testing and discovered what the top TCP and UDP ports were to scan for, plus I added in some of my own for VNC and MySQL, different things. It's telling me that I found...
It's scanning my iPhone because my iPhone says somebody's trying to connect to your VNC session. Because his iPhone's scanning it.
So I found 7 different targets, which are all of our targets up here. We're not scanning you guys or anything. Being that I'm scanning for different ports, I'm taking my list and parsing it down so that I only have one IP per occurrence. It's being sorted. Actually, let's go ahead and switch over to the script here, John. We'll go back to this. Adrian?
Monkey boy.
Okay.
This is the script that he's running when he does that command.
Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm running Propecia, and you can see the TCP ports that I'm running here with all the services out to the side. And like I said, I grabbed these from Fedora's talk from DEF CON. UDP ports that I'm using, and the miscellaneous ports, MySQL, alternate HTTP, and VNC. You can obviously add in or subtract whatever it is that you're looking for. The next part here is sorting the IP address, shoving that into another file, which is list right here. This next section is going to do a word count on the list. Tell me how many targets that we find. This next part here, which I'm still working on, is going to check to see if there are 0 targets. If there are 0 targets, it's going to exit. Then we're going to start the Nmap scan. Starting the Nmap scan, IL is your input list that you're pulling in. Minus PN means do not ping. N, no DNS lookup. We're going to do fast. We're going to do a version scan. And for the iPhone, when you're doing this on the computer, you're going to generate a lot of output for the iPhone because of the screen size. I'm trying to cut down on my traffic, so I'm using the open switch, so it's just going to show me the juicy open ports. Throwing that out into a temp file. This right here is going to clean up all my Nmap results, so just try to get me down to just the nitty-gritty IP address, the open services. I don't want to send fingerprints off to Fedora or anything because I don't know a service. Last part's removing the temp files and then viewing the last file that you just did. So kind of in summary, the iPhone's a great mobile hacking device. You can do some really sneaky stuff with.
And it's in your pocket, and it's like a full computer. You can do anything you can do on a computer, almost. And if you can't, somebody's going to figure out a way to do it pretty quick.
These are people we just want to give shout-outs to. Thanks. Jay, obviously, is the head guy for Cydia. I can't even pronounce my friend's name here. Stumbler Plus, great program for going out and finding. Adrian, can you switch back over real quick? Stumbler Plus here, this is a great program. Picks up a lot of different knowledge, which will, yes?
Simple Plus using on mode, or is it using Pro? Can it be hooked to a GPS?
It can be hooked up to a GPS. I do not know the answer to the first part. Scott Wallace, he's the guy that helped me out with compiling custom scripts and stuff. You can find him out on the IRC. John, your last parts?
This Ouija Man, he was the guy who I saw the command for the app stuff, which is, many people may know for exporting and importing on the list of what you've installed with the app package manager. Of course, we didn't get time, I can show you later. This record audio, I can send my iPhone and give it to somebody, and I can SSH into it and tell it to start recording the audio, and they can't see that it's doing anything, and I can, SFTP the audio file back to my computer. But if you broke into somebody's phone, if you could install that app or something, you could record audio. It would be like a remote bug, and they don't even know that anything's going on.
Or you could leave your phone at your interview.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot my iPhone. Yeah.
And then come, yes.
I used to get from AT&T to connect to this, so are they semi-static? I know it's like a long PHP or...
Well, the thing is hopefully you're on Wi-Fi or something, so you're on somebody's network that you don't have to go through AT&T.
Right.
You don't come from the outside.
Okay.
No, it works for Windows and Mac, yeah. Yeah, we have these links here. This is going to be up on the website, and you can come get a card from us later. We'll tell you how to get here. But these are links to everything. This somewhere, well, we'll have a link to it on his site. There's a link to the. It's like a point and click. It's so easy. You point and click on your Mac or on your Windows, and you launch one little thing on your iPhone, and boom, you're on the internet through your iPhone. It's no more terminal command line, starting a proxy server or anything like that. It does it all automated.
And the last person we'd like to thank would be Skydog and the Hacker Consortium for letting us talk. So thank you guys.
Sorry we went over. Sorry, everybody. Thank you.